Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Tim Hankewich, back from Orchestra Iowa. This is that time of season where I see you like every 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you get a big smile on my face because the end is nigh. Our season is coming to a close.
The centennial season is nearly, in fact, this is not the last event, but this is the last orchestra concert.
The last orchestra concert where I actually have to like wave the wand, where you actually see me, Tim Hankewich, work for a living. Yes.
Yeah, because when Branford comes in a few weeks, you're just going to be sitting in the hall with a drink.
I'm going to be off stage with a martini, saluting him while he's performing. So I'll have the best seat in the house for that.
So that's coming up, and more about that as we go. But this is the final concert in the season,
right.
Nordic Passage.
Yeah.
And got a great guest artist. Let's talk about the guest artist first.
Sure.
Tell me about Garrick, because he is really one of the leading pianists around.
Yeah, Garrick Ohlsson. Oh, where do I start? See, I understand that America is a very celebrity-driven culture, and I also know that classical music isn't exactly mainstream culture anymore.
A different kind of celebrity.
Absolutely right. But to put it into perspective, I mean, Garrick Ohlsson is, no joke, one of the greatest living pianists of our generation. I mean, he is really the top of the pyramid.
And this is from a guy who knows Emanuel Axe, by the way.
Correct. It's in the same rarefied air. And to celebrate our 100th anniversary, we began our season with one of the leading violinists, Cho Lang Lin, and now we're going to end with one of the world's leading pianists, Garrick Ohlsson. Now, to put it into perspective, it would be like Sir Patrick Stewart hanging out with the cast at TCR for a weekend. That's sort of the genius that's going to be here, and so I hope our community will take advantage of it, because it really is incredible to witness that kind of talent perform. Especially him playing his party piece, the Greig Piano Concerto, which is one of the great piano concertos of all time. So, I mean, this is what he does.
Okay, so you call it his party piece. So nearly every artist, they have something they kind of specialize in.
A signature piece that they just know how to do better than anybody else in the world, and this would be it. So I mean, as a great performer, his repertoire is vast, and he's great at it all. But having him perform the Greig, of which I'm sure he's performed 1,000,000 times, so it's by the time he plays it in Iowa, I'm sure he has it down by now.
As a piano player yourself,
yes, a recovering pianist.
Yes. Talk about the Greig, about this particular piano concerto from that perspective.
Sure. I think everybody will recognize the opening 2 measures of it. I mean, it's just that iconic piece that when you hear it, you go, oh yeah, that piece. But in terms of its technical bravura, it really, in its day, really set the bar, and even to this day is considered one of the more difficult piano concertos in the repertoire. I mean, you need like 12 fingers to be able to play it well, and yeah, it's I just despair every time I open up the music and try and practice it myself. So it's great to have somebody come in like Garrick, who just plays it effortlessly. And the second movement in particular, which is very meditative, you can always tell a great pianist not by how many notes per square inch they can play, but how they can phrase a simple melody that'll break your heart, and the colors that they can get out of the instrument. And that's where Garrick Ohlsson just excels head and shoulders above everybody else. The
name of the concert is Nordic Passage.
Yep.
And I do encourage everybody to check out your video on social media, where you're dressed for the season.
Correct.
The cross-country ski season.
Yes, well, you never know what happens in Iowa during the summers. It could go either way.
That's very true.
True.
What else? So what else is on the program that has this Nordic theme?
Sure. The Greig Piano Concerto, Edvard Grieg was a Norwegian composer and a student of Franz Liszt. And there's the piano connection. And then we're ending with my favorite symphony, Sibelius' Second Symphony, and Sibelius was from Finland, and in fact was key to the Finnish national movement as they broke away from Russia. And he was literally the person who came up essentially with their national anthem. I mean, he is a revered figure in Finnish circles. And in musical circles, oh, wow, this is the best symphony of them all. This is one of my party pieces. I love it as recovering trumpet player, it is so tasty for the brass to play. I mean, it's like eating a ribeye steak for them. So they just love playing this piece.
And also on the program is a new work.
Yes, Nancy Cobb. So at the beginning of the season, we had commissioned 3 works by Iowan composers. And Nancy Cobb, for the longest time, was the chair of the music school at the University of Northern Iowa. A great composer in her own right, and a good personal friend of mine. And so I just thought, what a better way to introduce her music to our audiences. And so we're going to begin our concert with her piece. It's called Shades and Illuminations. So the first movement, Shades, is very atmospheric, and then the light bulb turns on for the second movement. It's much more energetic, and it makes a really nice pairing. It's kind of the glue that kind of holds the other 2 pieces together stylistically.
Hey, before we close, reflect for just a minute. It's on the 100th season.
Yeah.
Obviously, it began in a disappointing fashion when Bruce Orchestra was rained out, but I would argue that y'all have come back pretty strong for that inauspicious beginning.
We came out swinging. I'm not going to lie, Dennis. I am tired. It's been a really difficult season in terms of logistics. I think the average layperson, when they say, well, what do you guys do every season? You only do 6 masterworks.
That's right.
How hard could that be?
Yeah, rehearse for a couple hours.
Yeah, done. Yeah, no problem.
Put on the tux.
Yeah, exactly. And ironically, even though the Masterworks series is the core reason for our existence, it is actually the least amount, it's the smallest amount of what we actually do. So when you add on the Pops concerts and you add on education concerts and then what goes on in Opus with First Friday Jazz and now Hear This and key change, an exchange of piano music, and Opus is being used constantly. And then you add on that even more extracurricular activities to celebrate our 100th anniversary. The busier you get, exponentially the greater of the odds of catastrophic failure are. And so it's just been absolutely exhausting to go through this season. But I will tell you this. I remember back in 2008, I didn't think there was going to be a 100th anniversary. So I'm really glad that we're here. And it's as I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm pretty sure it's not a train coming in the opposite direction, I savor it with great satisfaction.
The concert is Nordic Passage, Saturday evening at the Paramount, and then the Sunday matinee at Hancher, yes?
Yes, Sunday at 2 o'clock at Hancher and 7:30 at the Paramount Theater. And why don't you come early for our insights? So I usually talk behind the scenes activities that it took to get the show on the road, because there are so many twists and turns just to get a concert to the stage, and you get to learn a little bit more about the artists and the pieces that are.
Because your guest artist is usually involved.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's a chance to get to know them outside of the concert hall a little bit.
Right, because during the performance, it's I wouldn't say it's impersonal, because music is the most intimate of the arts, I would argue. But you don't get a chance to say, hey, what do you think about this? You don't actually get to exchange during a concert. At least I hope you don't, because we'd have to call security.
So there'll be an insights before each concert?
At 6:45 at the Paramount and 1:15 at Hancher Auditorium.
Tickets still available, and of course you can get those or find out more about the couple remaining events in the season at your website, which is
artsiowa.com or orchestraiowa.org.
All right, we'll come back in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about Branford Marsalis.
That's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Thanks, Tim.
Pleasure.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:30, or download the podcast. Watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture or using your favorite podcast player. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.